Actually, your English is very good. Have you ever felt tempted to use it?
Actually, Seagal spoke to me about that once.
Did he really?
Yeah. Wanted me to coach him.
The early 90s were a kind of interesting time for the action genre. After its excellent and commanding run in the 80s, action had moved to a kind of comfortable place as a mainstream entertainment. But there was a looming threat on the horizon: CGI. Computer-generated imagery was beginning to take hold of the effects work in film, and there was already a kind of movement beginning to take films back to a time before effects, a time when car chases and stuntmen ruled the celluloid screen. It's in this spirit we get Joshua Tree, sometimes called Army of One, starring Dolph Lundgren and directed by famed stuntman Vic Armstrong. Armstrong had already spent the previous decade making some of the greatest action films ever made. He doubled for Harrison Ford in Blade Runner, Return of the Jedi, and all of the Indiana Jones films of the 80s. That's Vic throughout this fight scene in Temple of Doom. He was the stunt coordinator on Rambo 3, Total Recall, Double Impact, and Universal Soldier, where he met Dolph Lundgren. Armstrong had been shooting the action scenes for directors since Red Sonja, and his work with Dolph Lundgren in Universal Soldier helped him land the big guy as a lead here.
Keep pumping, old man.
Joshua Tree is about an ex-race car driver named Wellman Santee who is framed for a murder, sent to prison, escapes, and now must try and prove his innocence while getting revenge on the bad guys. The idea was to make an old-fashioned car chase film with a modern aesthetic, and the film does edge toward that style. It's just that Armstrong is not an especially original director, even when he's doing what he does best, the action. There are few bits in Joshua Tree that stand on their own. Armstrong literally steals scenes from other movies, like the Steve McQueen classic The Getaway. But don't take this the wrong way. While that might seem like a detriment, it's almost all that saves this little film from disappearing completely into obscurity. See, Vic Armstrong, like so many others in Hollywood, was a big fan of Hong Kong cinema. This comes to play when, nearly an hour into the film, we get a great John Woo-style shootout.
You're alive, Deputy!
It's positively dynamite. It's like a mix of the church shootout from The Killer and the warehouse gunfight from Hard Boiled, all with splashes of occasional ingenuity from Armstrong himself, as when he has Dolph light his brother Andy Armstrong on fire and kick him into some boxes which summarily explode. Once you've seen this sequence, you'll hardly care about the rest of the movie. Yeah, there's a female character who isn't given much to do, and George Segal could never feel like a realistic threat against Lundgren. Dolph is in his usual hero mode, and that's rarely any fun. I do like how they try and play up whether or not he's a good guy for the first part of the movie, but the rest of the film is so tonally inconsistent it doesn't add up to much. The car chase sequences do manage to feel fast and dangerous, the explosions are huge and loud, and that gunfight. But weirdly, this movie has seen multiple releases in different formats and with a couple different endings. Fortunately, Shout Factory released a Blu-ray with the original ending and a DVD version, so this one's a bit of a hidden gem. Definitely worth checking out.
That's a little more than your end, man. Call it interest.